Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to Sharp Ends. I realized I've never done a formal review of the Genesis from LT Wright, and I thought I would do a quick one today. I've had this for about a year now. It was the first LT Wright I got, and I actually have probably 8 of them now. But as far as an introduction to LT Wright, I think this is a great place to start because it's going to be a knife that you use for a very long time, and it will be something that you keep in your collection forever. I think, especially if you're any kind of person who likes to camp, do bushcraft, or in general, go out into the wild. First off, this is a Scandi grind, so it's got a long flat here, and then the very long, or a flat part here, which is a wedge, which is the entire edge, right? And that's the Scandi grind. Um, the reason for that is it's really good at splitting wood and feather sticking and other things. It's not the best at feather sticking, but it is also very, very good at it. Um, and as far as processing wood and using this to baton with, in other words, using a piece of wood to chop down through a piece of wood, it works extraordinarily well. One of the reasons it works really well for that, because this is out of A2 knife steel, which a lot of people will consider pretty darn antiquated and isn't used a lot except for in fixed blades. And one of the things about LT Wright is that they have their heat treat really, really, really well done. Their heat treat on this makes this an exceptionally hard and yet slightly stain resistant knife. Now, it's not going to be stain resistant. It isn't a stainless steel, but it is a steel that, if you take care of it, will remain fairly stainless. Now, you'll notice that I have a lot of nicks and a lot of scratches on this, and that's because I've used it extensively. You'll see right here, that's where I've been beating on it to baton with, and even up here at the tip. And the tip is very strong, and that's because it comes down, the symmetry of the blade, it comes down to full stock, full, and then the very end, it tapers down at the end. But it makes for a very strong point. This is also still a very sharp knife. Um, and that's because the Scandi grind will stay sharp for a very long time given its geometry. Overall size on this, we're looking at about 4¼ inches and overall 9 inches. And that compares very favorably with probably its biggest, what I'd call competitor as far as American made knives like this, and that is the Bravo 1. Bravo comes in a couple of different sizes and length and stuff, but this is the one that's 4¼ inch blade as well. This, however, is a convex grind, does things a little bit differently. Bark River is a great company and makes great knives. In general, they're more pricey than LT Wright. Um, they're a much bigger company than LT Wright, but LT Wright still can keep up with demand. And I think the Genesis is available right now on their website. If not, it will be very soon. Um, what else do I want to say about this? The ergos on this. This is a heavy knife, and it is even heavier than the Bravo 1, and that's because the scales are pretty darn chunky on this. This happens to be canvas, green canvas micarta, and it fits in the hand very well. It doesn't lock in as well as the handle shape of the Bravo because it has more of this locked in part for your pinky finger, and up here, the bulge right here fits into your hand really nicely. This is much more of like a what I would call like a hammer handle, although it does have contouring on it. This also has scallops here, which is really good for specific types of cuts, cutting towards yourself if you have a piece of wood on your sternum, if you're doing some shaving that way or away. And it also lets you do some fine work with the feather. When you're doing feather sticking, you can use your thumb right here, and these scallops here really help with that. It just gives it more control. So even though it looks a little clunky, it feels really good in the hand overall. This is the LT Wright symbol right there, by the way. And this one in particular has, brass pins on it, which look really nice with this type of scale material, I think, at least. And then another thing I should mention too is that the spine here is really sharp. In fact, they've left it non-rounded at all, which throws a tremendous spark. I've heard some people say that that is a good thing and a bad thing. They say it's a bad thing because basically they're just leaving that when they sand it down here, and can you see the the belt marks right there? When they do that, they're basically leaving a burr here, and that they say isn't. I don't know. I don't even understand the argument. All I know is that the fire steel flies off of this, like the sparks absolutely fly off of this. Whereas on the Bark River, all of their spines do throw a good spark, but they're slightly rounded, very, very slightly rounded, so that there's no burr there, right? And it's polished, right? In general, when you have a blade that is non-stainless, the more polished it is, the better it's going to be at not taking on rust because there's not like little micro holes. Here you can see a little bit of a belt finish on the flat, but the edge is very, very shiny, which helps with corrosion resistance. Another thing I'd like to point out is that I absolutely love the dangly on this. This sheath is really cool. It's really well made. And you can choose if you want it for a left-handed or a right-handed person. And I just like how it's made. It's just a really nice sheath, and it dangles really nicely on your hip. The Bark River standard knife is like an ambidextrous one, so you can put it on the left or the right, but it's just not as sexy, I guess. It's rounded here. This one has been, fully formed to accept the Bravo, and I've also snow sealed it. I've also snow sealed this one as well. Snow Seal is a great product to put on to make it more waterproof, water resistant. And I highly suggest that if you have a sheath that is leather, that you use Snow Seal. This is it right here. You just need to heat up the leather, and then once it's heated up, you rub in the Snow Seal. And I just use a hair dryer for that or a heat gun. So overall, I think the Bravo is a great place to start. I think it's, for what it is, it's relatively cheap. You're definitely supporting American-made products. And even though it's a A2 knife steel, I think that is actually a really good choice for a fixed blade. And I wouldn't poo-poo it just because, it's not Magna Cut or something. I think that this is a very viable option, even in today's market. So I have no problems with that. I think that A2, the way that they've heat treated it, is better than a lot of the other things like you might be able to get, like what are some other examples, like 154 cm or Magna Cut or other things. I mean, if I'm going to be by saltwater, then I would probably take my Bravo with me, but any other camping or survival situations, I'm going to have this on me. It's not quite as good at food prep because of the Scandi grind. It's just, it's going to split any hard vegetables. It's not going to really slice through them. And for meat prep, it's really not going to be that great for that either. And that's why if you, are going to be using this and you're only taking one knife, I would say that the Bravo is actually probably a better thing to take with you, because with this convex grind, it doesn't split wood as well as a Scandi grind, but it does food prep very well. And it does slice some. It does do some splitting, but not nearly as much as a Scandi grind. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me today, guys. If you would like and subscribe and leave a comment, I'd really appreciate it. Every month I give away a knife, and if you want to get entered into that drawing, all you have to do is become a member, Patreon member, or a member on YouTube, and you too will be entered to win a knife. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.